You mentioned the pandemic, and so I'm curious how that has affected your life. This is, we're going on now a year in the pandemic, kind of. So how has that changed your outlook on life, if at all, and your day to day?
Yeah, so a lot. At first, I was living in Brooklyn with she was my girlfriend at the time, now fiance. We were living in Brooklyn, and I was training nonstop for the Paralympics. I was number one in the country, top like 20 something in the world at the current moment, back then, and nonstop training. I'm breathing judo. I'm waking up, walking to the gym down the street, getting the most intense workouts of my life from this guy Lenny, who was like putting me through these like marine like boxer fighter workouts where he would almost like be like one time one time I'm working out, and he would like challenge me, and like he'd be like, all right, go do 500 sit-ups, come right back. And like I would do it, like no problem. Like I would just, because this guy told me to, and I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to do this. And people be looking like this guy's insane. And then one time, like he has this circuit where it's like pull-ups, V-ups with the on the bar, all these different crazy workouts, and it's like 20 of each. And he's like, all right, do 20 rounds. And I'm like, Lenny, you're freaking crazy, man. Like and I'm like, all right, like in my mind, I'm like, all right, but I'm gonna do 20 rounds. So I get to round 16, I can't even move anymore. And I'm like literally, I'm at that point of shaking where you think you're gonna pass out, and I'm like, "Yo, Lenny, like I can't do anymore, man." And he's like, "I was like, I did 16," and he was like, "Bro, most anyone did was 4." I was just like seeing what he would do, and I was like, "Oh my god," like. And a part of that was also like another reason why I think I worked so hard too was being blind in the room. I think everyone around me is working harder than me. And
Wow.
I think no one I didn't even know until like halfway through high school that like people took breaks like in the room. Like even just to like they'll walk in a quick like circle, a small circle just to like get their breath for a second and then go back into it. And like they'll kids will just be like dancing around, like just kind of like not really working as hard. People hated going with me because I go 100% like all the time. Like I think everyone around me is going nonstop, and I think if I take a break, I'm gonna be noticed right away, the first person, because no one else is doing that. So why would I? So there's this like mental thing in my head where you have to go as hard as possible. Like you can't stop, and it's like people have been like blown away sometimes with my work ethic when I'm in like full blown work mode. But to me, it's like, am I working hard enough? Like, am I working as hard as the next? Because I don't have those visual cues either. So like, I'm constantly going, and like almost to the point where people are like, "Dude, you're crazy." And with the pandemic, like I said, everything's judo and working out. Also motivational speaking and music to like make money on the side to fund my Paralympic journey. And I all of a sudden COVID hits, right? And like everything stops, everything's shut down. There's no future of anything right at the moment. And we leave Brooklyn, we go to this her parents had a cabin in upstate New York. So we go there to get some space and like try to figure out what our next move is. And the whole time we're up there, I bring some stuff to work out with, like some weights and stuff, and just do like, my CrossFit style workouts. And I'm going hard every day, like constantly going hard, like I'm training for the Olympics. And there's nothing, like nothing in the future. And I'm finally getting to this point, like 2 months go by, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, this is really hard to try and train like this with no, because you're not just training like, all right, I'll just do like today I'll do a light workout. It's like, no, I'm training for the Olympics, so I have to train hard. And it's like next level of training. Like, I'd be fine if I was training just regularly. And so in my mind, I'm thinking Olympics, Olympics. And finally, I'm to the point where it's like, this is getting so hard. I don't even know what the future is. And I called it my friend Corey, and I'm like, yo, like he's, a big influence. He's a good dude, like a great trainer and stuff like that. And I call him like, dude, I don't know, like I want to take like a break, dude. Like my body's so exhausted. My mind is like can't deal with this. And he's like, yo, what are you doing? You got to take some days off. Like, that's not okay. He's like, you need recovery. Like, you need this, you need, and all this shit hit me. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not like, that is what I needed to hear, man. Like, I need to know that it was okay to stop for a sec. Like, it's okay to take like a step back, like, just pause for a minute. And you're not like, it's okay. Like that was the main message, and that hit me so hard. But it was almost like once I told him, like, believed it was okay, it was almost like dealing with a loss because this was my life, and like that's all I knew. I still loved working out, so I'd still do that. But like the judo was my life at this current moment, and I was just like almost mourning this loss, like being
Mm.
almost a baby about it. And finally my fiance's like, you should focus more on your music. And like I had that in my mind. Like I was like, I do want to focus more on my music. So I just started like, so then we end up, moving from Brooklyn. We found an apartment in Spring Lake, and get an apartment like a couple blocks from the beach where I grew up, actually. So same town where I grew up, and like all my family's here. And we get engaged, and then I start like playing around here. Like I play at restaurants and bars and stuff like that, and I was playing outside a lot of places, and even playing on the side of the street for people, and like getting tips, all to make money. And finally I was making like a full-time career out of it. Like I'm making a lot of money, doing well, and have a lot of jobs booked. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting at home, and like this pandemic like sucks, like I want more out of it. Like I want to make a mark. Like so I was sitting home, and it's like coming close to election time, and all social media is like garbage. Like everyone's just fighting with people. People are like unfollowing people. People are like saying mean things to people that are their friends. Like all this stuff, like all this just separation, and just like it was so toxic. I felt it like sitting home. I felt like I'm not a political person. I just felt like my heart. I was like, dude, this country right now, like it's not okay. And I was like, what can I do to make my mark right now? And my fiance works in tech, so she can work from wherever. And when I was traveling for the tournaments, for judo, like we go to a country like Azerbaijan. I'd have a world championship, and then we go travel around the country for like 2 weeks and explore and learn so much. And so we're like, we love traveling. We can't travel right now, like out of the country. I love playing music. That's the one way I find that I was like making people happy through all this, like giving them some normalcy and stuff. So I was like, what can we do? And we were brainstorming, and we came up with this idea to go. We did a 10,000 mile, 7 week cross country road trip, setting up in beautiful places across the country, like the Grand Canyon, Telluride, all these places. The first day was election day, the in front of the White House in like the Freedom Square, and with the White House in the background on election day. And like we did this tour, and just live streamed, calling it Anthony Ferraro's Blind Busking Tour. Like busking is where you set up on the side of the street or wherever and play for tips. So I was doing it, but live streaming it as well, and playing more in like scenic places. So people at home, sitting home, can't get out of their houses, could almost feel like they were there and enjoy this live music, and got like a very good response from it. It was just like a beautiful trip that happened, and almost like a post engagement trip, but trying to make a mark during COVID and just spread as much positivity as possible. And it was incredible.